Hello and welcome to the analysis of the Hindu newspaper dated March 2nd, 2023. In this video, we are going to talk about two important newspaper articles which are going to be very important, very significant for the civil services examination. So let's start with the first important newspaper article. Now this particular newspaper article talks about the S-400 regiments which are going to be deployed in India, and there is delivery, and their delivery is expected by early 2024. Now this particular newspaper article becomes important for us for the GS paper 2, that is bilateral agreements, effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries on India's interest, again for the GS paper 2 and for the GS paper 3 as well, because defense technology becomes a very important, very significant part of the GS paper 3. Let's first understand the context of it, and then we will talk about the other factors which are involved in it, and we will also talk about the S-400 air defense missile system. Now, deliveries of 5 regiments of S-400 air defense systems under a $5.43 billion deal with Russia are expected to be completed by year-end or early 2024. Now, they were expected to be delivered by August 2023, but what is happening is that there is a lot of roadblocks on the way, and which is being figured out on the sidelines of the G20 foreign ministers meeting by Sergei Lavrov, who is the foreign Russian minister, and S. Jaishankar, who is Minister of External Affairs India. Right, so delivery of the third S-400 regiments has been completed as acknowledged by the Russia's ambassador to India, Denis Alipov, earlier this month. The second and third regiments saw delays of few months, and there have been delays in the milestone payments regarding it. Right, so the deliveries of 5 regiments which are ordered by the India will be completed by the early 2024. This is the expected date which is going to happen. Now there are some of the major hurdles regarding this particular deal. The first one is the how this particular S-400 are going to be transferred to India. Now they are going to be transferred through the cargo carriers. Now the cargo carriers are not available to the Russians because of the trade sanctions. Now the majority of the merchant fleet in the world is owned by the Greece. There are 4,900 vessels under the Greek flag according to the Greek shipping cooperation, but there are some of the sanctions, and that is why the Russians cannot use the Greek vessels. This becomes the major hurdle. The second kind of problem is that there are problems in getting insurance of the cargo. So majority of maritime insurance companies are based in UK, and finding insurance companies in the times of Russian sanctions is hard, because the UK based companies are not going to provide insurance for the Russian cargo because Russians are facing the sanctions. This becomes a major problem because India cannot buy anything with Russia if there is no insurance of the cargo that the Russians are providing. The third kind of hurdle is the payment issues. Now the Russians have been kicked out of the global SWIFT system for money transfer. Now the only way they can do a transaction with India is through the India rupee ruble or rupee ruble arrangement. Now these are being arranged, and the first, after the sanctions were put in, after the Russians were kicked out of the SWIFT system, there was some talks about the euro payments as well, but they did not come into fruition, and now the rupee ruble arrangement is going on. Now the rupee ruble arrangement is such that at a fixed amount of rate at some particular point of time, the payments are going to be made, right? So these are some of the major issues regarding the delivery. First one is the non-availability of the cargo carrier, second one is the problem in getting insurance of the cargo, and the third one is the payment issue. Now this led to the later delivery of the S-400, and as a matter of fact, the other defense systems or the other defense equipments are also facing this same kind of problem. Now what exactly is this S-400 air defense missile system? Now S-400 is a mobile surface to air missile system designed by the Russia. It is the most dangerous operationally deployed modern long range SAM, that is the modern MLR SAM in the world, which means that basically it is able to counter the attacks of any kind of unmanned aerial vehicles, that is the UAVs, and ballistic and cruise missiles within the range of 400 kilometers and at an altitude of up to 30 kilometers. Now the system can track 100 airborne targets and engage 6 of them simultaneously, which makes it the most impeccable air defense missile system. Now this particular air defense missile system was also bought by the Chinese, and its delivery began in the January 2018. Now this put India at a disadvantage, and that is why the India is now buying the S-400 defense missile system from the Russians. Now India's acquisition is crucial to counter attacks in the two-front war. That is, if the war happens between with the two fronts, Pakistan on one side and Chinese on other side, then also this S-400 is going to be a significant advantage for India, because it has the ability to counter the high-end US aircrafts like the F-35s also. So this is the significance for India of the S-400. We have talked about this particular air defense missile system. We have talked about the payment issues and all of the other issues which are happening in the delivery of the S-400. So this is it regarding this particular newspaper article. Let's now head to the next important newspaper article. Now this particular newspaper article talks about the PMI, that is the Purchasing Managers Index, which is published by the S&P Global. Now this particular newspaper article becomes important for the GS paper 3, that is Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development and employment, right? Let's first understand the context of it, and then we will talk about what exactly is this Purchasing Managers Index. Now India's manufacturing sector clocked the 28th straight month of output growth and new orders in February, driven mostly by the domestic market, as growth in export orders hit an 11-month low as the survey-based seasonally adjusted S&P Global India Purchasing Managers Index. The index was at 55.3 in February, fractionally below the January's 55.4. This is not a very significant decline, but at the end of the day, it is a decline, which means that there is some kind of contraction in the market, right? So let's talk about now Purchasing Managers Index. What exactly it is? It is an economic indicator that measures the health of manufacturing or service sector by surveying the purchasing managers of the business. Whoever are buying the services of other things, on the basis of that, survey is done, and the survey is formed in the form of economic indicator, right? So it is based on a survey of purchasing managers who are asked about their organization's purchasing activity and expectations for future business conditions, right? So the PMI is calculated as the weighted average of 5 sub-indices which measure new orders, production, employment, supplier deliveries and inventories. And a PMI reading above 50 indicates expansion in the sector, while a reading below 50 indices contraction. But even if there is a reduction in this particular index, it also means that there is some kind of contraction in the market, right? As in the case, as in this particular case, where this particular index has gone down from January's 55.4 to 55.3 in February, right? So what exactly is the significance of the PMI? PMI is basically considered a leading economic indicator because changes in the PMI can signal changes in the overall economy. Now, as rising PMI suggests an expanding economy, while a falling suggests a contraction. So the PMI is closely watched by the economists, investors and policymakers, as it provides valuable insights into the state of the economy. So this is the particular significance of the PMI. It helps the economists, investors and the policymakers in making better decisions. And that is why any contraction in it is a negative thing, and any expansion in it or increase in the PMI index is a very positive thing, or it will produce positive market sentiments, right? So this is it regarding this particular newspaper article, and this is it for the day. Thank you from my side. Do like and share the video and subscribe to this channel. Have a good day. Bye.